This is a very quick run through of the 10 components of this rather excellent book, Time to Think. Nancy Kline, everyone should read it. It's very accessible, very short chapters. It's built around the 10 components of a thinking environment. Now, I've yet to read the book. I've actually glimpsed over it. I've had a look, and I'm deliberately forming my own thoughts and views before I get Nancy's on these key issues which are the 10 components of a thinking environment. So before I go into finding out, if you like, the truth, the reality, I wanted to form my own impressions of what this means to me, as you might too. So the 10 components are attention, and this is about listening with respect. And she goes further than that. She says that we should listen when we do with people, and I do really mean listen, not just wait to talk, not just show that we're hearing, not listening. Nancy Kline says that we should listen with respect, interest, and are you ready for this? Fascination. Well, how often do we show, or do we ourselves behave in a way that we are fascinated by what someone says? Yes, you can fake it, you can do it insincerely, but it's best to do it for real. I'm going to run through these quickly. The second of these is incisive questions. Incisive questions, interested questions, questions which suggest that we're at least close to genuine fascination. And by asking incisive questions, by exploring further what we're hearing, and by showing further interest than we're showing simply by the being recipient of information, then we are removing assumptions. Oh, I didn't know you meant that, or I thought you meant this. So asking incisive questions that explore issues help to clarify. Then she says equality, and further explains that by saying treating others as thinking peers. In other words, no one's more important or less important than anyone else when it comes to creating a thinking environment, giving people the space to explore things in a thorough way. So equality is about recognizing perhaps our own biases, recognizing that we are more favorable to certain people for all sorts of reasons than others, and treating people equally in that respect. Not easy, not easy. Appreciation. Now, Nancy Kline says, practice a 5-to-1 ratio of appreciation to criticism. Well, kind of, why criticize at all? But there might be times. A lot of people feel they're criticized more than they are appreciated. So what she's really saying is, if you want to give people time to think, then appreciate them, show that interest, show that you respect what they've got to say, and don't criticize them. Don't give them cause to feel criticized, or you won't get a full explanation and clarification of what people are trying to say. So ease, this is important. I really think this is very important. She says, offering freedom from rush or urgency. Now, how about that? Let's stop and pause and think about that for a minute. I was in a coffee shop this morning, and all I heard was one lady babbling like crazy, a 99% ratio to her so-called listening person. All she was doing was talking about herself the whole time. And she was talking fast because she's clearly used to being interrupted, because people don't find her as interesting, I would suggest, as she does herself. So when we give ease to people, we're saying, hey, slow down, take the time you need. I'm not going to rush you. I'm not going to interrupt you. I'm not going to show I'm not listening to you. I'm giving you space. I'm not causing you to feel you need to be urgently rushing through something because I'm interested by what you've got to say. This is powerful. Then she talks about encouragement, moving beyond competition. And what that means is, and I think this is true, we very often compete for the talking space. Well, how about just putting aside our own ambitions for the conversation and saying, I'm going to focus on you. I've got some things to say, but I might not say any of them, certainly not all the things I choose, because by listening to what you've got to say, by giving you the space and causing you to feel that I'm interested in you, this is going to be about you, not about me. And I think so often we see conversations that are not really worth the words, that are sort of about me. I'm kind of making it look like I'm listening to you, but really I'm just waiting to get in with what I've got to say. I'm competing with you. By not competing for that space, we give people the ease and the time not to feel rushed. Feelings. Allowing sufficient emotional release to restore thinking is what she says. We're not that good with dealing with feelings. Very often if people get emotional or they show feelings, we find that uncomfortable. And that's a bad thing, because if we're giving people time to think, if we're creating a thinking environment, then we're legitimizing and we're welcoming emotional issues and feelings in ourselves and in others. And that's an unusual space for people to be in. They themselves might be uncomfortable with it. But if we show a discomfort with that, then we are not creating for them a thinking environment. So legitimizing and being at ease with people's feelings and emotions. Information, gosh, that's a very wide word, and she says providing a full and accurate picture of reality. We can only give people the space to do that if we give them the genuine feeling that they have that space, that it's okay to take the time they need to give the information that they need to us. I am moving through these quickly. This is important too, and the more I think about this, the more important it really is. She says creating a physical environment that says to people, you matter. Now, go into someone's workplace, and if they begrudgingly push some stuff off a chair and wave you towards it, that's very different from them positioning themselves next to you, taking some care over that physical environment. We can do this transactionally during a conversation by ridding ourselves of distractions, phone and otherwise, ignoring a phone that might be ringing, whatever it takes to create a physical environment which allows for these things to happen. And some physical environments, maybe it's in company of others, maybe it's in a particular public space, only need a bit of thought to say, let's not talk about this here, let's talk about it in 5 minutes somewhere else. So some thought given to the physical environment really helps to create a thinking environment. And then lastly, I don't think these are in any particular order, she says diversity. And the words that she uses to explain that are briefly adding quality because of the differences between us. And that's a very carefully thought through phrase, adding quality because of the differences between us. Diversity is about that. It's about saying, hey, we can make things better because we're different. And too often I think we see just the opposite. Oh, you're different to me in some way, so therefore you're inferior, you're different, you're unusual, you're difficult for me to relate to. I don't know. Let's try and get over that. Let's try and say, okay, you're in a different space to I am. Let's just treat you the same as I do everyone else. These are very powerful. The book itself, of course, goes into this in a lot more detail. And I've done some further activity around this. So this is where to find me in my various forms and what I do. And I'll be very pleased to help further if you think I can. But hey, download stuff from here and you'll find that will do the job for you. I hope that helps. I hope that some contact with the 10 components of the thinking environment helps you, as it has done me, to better understand what it takes to genuinely give people the space they need to explore the issues that are important.